Yo, what's up guys, it's Talon, and today we're going to be talking about the job of a split pusher in Baron lane. You're going to see this game is going to be a game where I don't get a lot of kills, but I have a very, very high impact, just due to the pressure I'm able to absorb and things like that. So starting off with this game, we're playing against a Malphite. So into a Malphite, you don't really have the ability to do much early as a Fiora, because of the fact that his shield stops a lot of your poke. And he obviously is pretty good into AD champions in general, so if you're not able to proc a lot of vitals and you don't have a lot of damage, you're just never going to actually kill him. And so you're going to watch. I'm not going to trade that hard with him. The other reason I'm not going to trade that hard is because of the topic of my previous Baron lane video, which is that my jungler is pathing away from me. Since my jungler is pathing away from me, I'm not going to do too much. Now here I'll trade on a vital. You know, if he gives me a free vital, I'm going to take a vital, but not much more than that. Just get a little poke, little healing, and mostly just play in order to just go even in the lane. Because in this lane, the way that I understand my champion versus a Malphite, again, early on, all I can do is maybe poke a vital every now and again, get a little bit poke like this. Can't really kill him. The later and later we go, the more we have the ability to kill him when we hit our items, when we hit our Eclipse, when we hit Serpent's Fang in this game, I believe we go, because we see he rushes a Gargoyle early. So second item, go for Serpent's Fang. And then we just get these little leads until the enemy gives us an opportunity to do something. So here again, we see that the enemy jungle is matched. And so we know if we do trade, it's going to be pretty 50-50 in terms of whether or not my jungle or their jungle kind of helps more. So all I'm doing is just building up a little bit of a slow push. So when you're in a situation where you know you can't kill the enemy laner, but you're also stronger than them, like they can't walk up and fight you, all you do is you do what I'm doing here, which is build up a slow push and then try to deny a minion or two by poking them and scaring them off. So a slow push basically, and you can find out in my wave management guide, a slow push basically means building up a lot of minions, very slowly auto-attacking, only really auto-attacking for last hits, and letting a giant minion wave build up. So notice how, again, I leave this wave here. I only hit it when it's low enough to last hit. That way I build up a bunch of minions, and then what I can do with that is I can crash the wave underneath the enemy's turret, and then it gives me a great opportunity to recall. And if Xin Zhao tried to gank me here, he doesn't have the ability to really do much because I'm higher level, because the Malphite hasn't killed any minions, whereas I've killed a bunch of minions. So I'm way higher level. I have the minions to fight with me, so if the enemy go on me, they can't do much. And then I crash really safely here because I notice my Nunu's top side and their Xin Zhao is, of course, now bot side. So very safe, very simple play where we just build up that wave to crash. And then what we could have done as well is, like, let's say that my Xin Zhao or my Nunu was on this side of the map, and then the Xin Zhao went top side. Then I could dive because I'm higher level, I have a big minion wave, and so we can actually turret dive, or at the very least take plates. And then you guys are going to see throughout this game that Xin Zhao is going to get absurdly fed. He gets an early triple kill, and the game starts going kind of poorly here. And you're going to see a lot of the impact, again, just from this pressure that we're going to have in the side lane, despite the fact that our team is losing. And so now at this point, again, we're just trying to deny a little bit of gold from Malphite and get a little bit of a gold lead ourselves. That's all we're really doing. So we have 6 minions of the enemy versus 4 of ours. So we're going to let them hit ours and kill ours so that he loses a couple minions. Because again, the enemy blue buff is spawning, so we know he likely will come back. Obviously, we never know for sure, but we think it's most likely that he does come back. So we're just going to keep the wave here, safely poke out, deny the enemy minions, and again, just build up this gold lead. Like, I do have a gold lead, nothing crazy, but a little bit of one. And that is, again, that's the main job so far for my champion, is understand my matchup. In this matchup, I just want to eke out a small lead, small advantage. And then eventually, once I hit my items, is when I really try to do a lot more. Or if the enemy give me, obviously, a chance to do something, then I'll take advantage of that. So here again, you can see what we're doing once again is now we're slowly breaking our freeze and building it into a slow push once again. Where now we're going to have slightly more minions than the enemy, which means we'll slowly push into them. But for now, we're going to continue to freeze and poke out his vitals. We have the level advantage as well, so if he tries to trade into us, not going to be very successful for him. And so we just kind of constantly poke and poke so that he loses out on more and more minions. And again, you can see another wave coming now, building up once again the ability to slow push if we want, or the ability to kind of maintain a freeze. And so this is where we sort of look for some fighting here, because he does, again, trade down a level, which allows us to fight really well. And then again, we create the slow push, which eventually we can crash and either get turret plates or dive him with. We see that Xin Zhao is not currently here, and I believe this is the wave where I realize, like, I want to crash. I have a big wave, I have a level advantage, I have a health lead, I want to get something out of this. So I'm either going to try to dive him, in this case it looks pretty hard to dive, or I'm going to just try to take a couple plates in his face. I have Demolish here, I'm not really scared of him one-shotting me. He's a Malphite, tank Malphite, not going to do anything. And so you're going to see here, all I do, I take a couple plates, and then I realize at this point their jungler could be back, so I just leave. That simple. Again, that's a 300 gold lead I get from that alone. and we're up 1,300 gold in total from these little slow pushes and crashes that we built up, the denying of some of these minions from our freezes, and then again crashing the wave to get those couple of plates there. So had we known Xin Zhao was topside, we would have stayed up longer, but obviously we didn't know where he was at the time. You can see he's already 6-0. He's the 7-0, 8-0. So yeah, he's kind of strong a little bit of a strong Xin Zhao here, which is obviously an issue. But once again, I don't have to worry about what's going on the rest of the map at this point in the game. There's not a lot I can do to impact it as a side laner. What I can do is build up this lead, as you guys saw, and this lead, what it does is it gives me a lot of pressure and the ability to potentially carry the game later on by just making the enemy have to always worry about me on side lane, always send multiple people because, Malphite can't kill me if I have this much of a gold lead, that type of thing. So that's really our main concern, again, is just building up enough of a lead that we have that pressure on side lane. I'm not worried about my team dying in team fights, because if we go to a team fight, Malphite ultimate and attack speed slow is way more useful than my champion, even when I have a bit of a gold lead, unless I'm absurdly fed. So I don't care that much about that. In this situation, I believe I realized that Xin Zhao is invading. I think that happens in a second. Maybe not yet. I think it's a little later, or it might be a different game. But yeah, at this point, we know Xin Zhao's on this side of the map, and then this is when we think he's invading. And so I noticed that he hasn't spent a lot of his gold yet, and so I try to 1v1 him because I know I can get a massive shutdown if I do outplay him here, and my champion's very good in the 1v1. We end up stopping his block and very, very nearly killing him, but not quite. And so, again, this was kind of the risk that I took because, again, I knew he didn't spend a lot of his gold. He was even items with me at this point for the most part. And he had, he had a big shutdown, right? So I wanted to see if I can get that shutdown out of it. A little bit of a risk, barely doesn't work out. And so we do lose our turret for it, but our team gets stuff on the top side of the map since we were distracting them anyways and drawing decent pressure again, where the Xin Zhao, who was 8-0, was stuck spending a lot of time on our side. He even drops the Herald on our side, and I still have quite a good lead on the Malphite. And so when you get to this situation where your team is not super good, but they're not behind so much where it's like unwinnable, and you're relatively strong, if you're into a side laner or a top laner who doesn't split push well, like a Malphite, you're going to want to stick on side lane very, very heavily. The reason for this is because, if I go to a team fight, I'm generally just going to be less useful. So my main goal here is just get a gold lead through whatever means necessary. That means if the Malphite goes and gets distracted here, I'm going to go side lane, get a turret. Now, two things could happen. My teammates could die, or nobody could die. Either way, I'm fine with it, because either I get an advantage and I lose nothing, or I get an advantage and my teammates who are already losing are losing a bit harder, which I can't do much about. And at this point, this is when I see, like, I can kind of 1v1 this guy. Like, we can see I can outplay him pretty hard. He ends up flashing over the wall, or ulting over the wall rather, and we're not quite able to kill him. But just that pressure alone from the fact that now we've outscaled, we hit our 2-item spike, means that I can get this entire turret here. So now again, I'm getting a tier 2 turret, which is giving gold to my team. Again, making it so that the Malphite can't rotate to team fights. Again, the longer and longer I keep him here, the happier I am, because he wants to team fight constantly. I want a side lane. I'm now up 2,800 gold, which means I have the ability to 1v1 him at any point. I have the ability to 1v2 a majority of people, and then sometimes your team is going to end up winning fights after that. Like, there's again, sometimes you do this on the side lane, your teammates all die a bunch, you lose, and there's nothing you can do about that. Like, you can't stop them from dying and dying and dying if they want to. But oftentimes what ends up happening is, again, you just have that additional pressure, you give your team more gold, you're keeping the enemy team fighting top laner away. Sometimes, multiple enemies get distracted with you, like the Xin Zhao, for example, that one situation where then my team was able to get a play on top side. And it just gives your team the ability to win these fights. You're not trying to go to all the fights yourself. Now, the time that you do want to go to all the fights yourself is generally going to be when you realize that for whatever reason, you can win those fights. So maybe like there's a really fed tank on the enemy team, and as a Fiora, you're really good at melting tanks, and you realize that the enemy is too strong on side lane, so you can't really match them, or they're just too hard to kill on side lane, or whatever else it is. Like, for whatever reason, you determine that your presence in the fight is going to actually change the outcome, and you're pretty confident in that, then you can go for it. So I'm not saying that you can never go to a team fight, but in a situation like this where your team is doing quite bad for a long time, you're again a lot more happy just drawing the pressure. So even here, like, the enemy, they all come here, and so I end up taking a little bit of a fight, distracting them, giving my team a good ability to engage. But again, they're so far behind, you can see just even in this sort of weird pseudo team fight in the bot lane, we do end up losing it because we're just not strong enough. And so at this point, I want to be pretty frequently split pushing on the opposite side of objectives. But because of the fact that I've already gotten both bot turrets, I'm not concerned, or I've gotten the first 2 bot turrets, I'm not concerned with getting another turret. What I want instead is to push a bottom lane wave and then pressure another lane somewhere. So either I want to take jungle camps, I want to go mid, or something along these lines. But I don't really do much going further bot lane. So you can see, like, I do take the gold here, but I'm not actually doing this with the purpose of getting, you know, a turret. I'm just doing it with the purpose of getting out. Here we tried a 1v1 Malphite, doesn't work out because the Yuumi's there, and now I go opposite side of the objective again. So you're going to see in a second, I'm going to ping my Kai'Sa off and try to get her to leave. Again, typically I want to go on the opposite side of whatever the key objective is up. Because again, we want to draw pressure away from that. We don't want to be on the team fight where the rest of the enemy are going to be. Whereas if you're a team fighting top laner, you want to be on the same side of the objective more frequently, as long as you already have the lane pushed out. So since this lane's pushed out, if I'm, say, like a Gnar, I might want to already go and start pushing bottom lane just so I can be with my team. But in this situation, I'd much rather draw pressure here and then at least have the ability to get turrets or get something out of it. And then here, I just don't flash. I should have just flashed and I'm fine. Because then I could 1v1 her afterwards. So definitely just like a bit greedy by me. But even in this situation, you can see the fact that I draw 2 people, I draw Yuumi and Xayah, means that my team's in an advantageous position. And then they're able to force the Baron with the Nunu. So even in this situation where I made a very dumb mistake, my team's able to get decent value from it, even with this Nunu being really silly. She still gets it in the end. And again, we make it so that Xayah and Yuumi can't go there. So you're just constantly trying to draw people away, draw as many people as you can, and then your team either takes advantage or they don't. And so even in this situation, it's not like my team wins super hard. They get a Baron, but a lot of them die. All this does is stall the game out longer, which is fine. Here, I 1v1 the Xayah because we do find her. I guess I'll go back so you guys can actually watch the full 1v1. But we knew she didn't have ultimate, and so since she didn't have ultimate, I knew that if I block and stun like this, I can end up killing her. So we do exactly that. Flash onto the last vital, and we get the kill onto the Yuumi. So, or onto the, not Yuumi, the, what you call it? Xayah. And then I do my W too early here. I should have waited a little longer to W. Then I wouldn't have died to Zed. But either way, again, we get that catch out on the enemy. They kind of overextend. And at that point, again, I saw that I was strong enough to pick someone off. My team does a nice job in the fight because we did, you know, make it very hard for killing Xayah, which was one of their stronger members. Yuumi dying as well. And again, at this point now, even though we're behind, I always have that strength of side laning. They always have a really hard time dealing with me because of how fed I got from the early game. And so even though I'm 2-2-1, I've had an insane amount of pressure and impact throughout the game. And then if my teammates are ever able to win a fight, just again, because I give them a numbers advantage, or because they got some gold off of, again, those different plays, like the play with the Xin Zhao, those types of things, we draw that pressure, our team gets a bit of gold, and suddenly it's not so bad. And then again, if you're good enough at Fiora, you can kind of see the opportunities where you can go and team fight, because there's team fights where that, like where you can carry, you know, and again, it's usually if there's a tank that you can burst down, or you're just so fed that you know you can 1v9 the fight, you can go to those fights. But until then, you're going to want to kind of stick on the side lane. So here I kind of try to see if I can 1v1 this Xin Zhao. And I think I barely don't kill him. Yeah, I barely don't kill him. Well, not really, actually. No, so why I said barely, because now I remember what I was thinking in the scenario. I didn't proc the Vital, because I got knocked up right as I queued onto his Vital. And so then I didn't proc the Vital, and I didn't get the healing from it. And I'm pretty sure I would have killed otherwise, because I would have been able to W. But even if we look at it in this situation, again, like I'm not saying that this is a good death necessarily, but the reason that this death works out and kind of leads to a positive situation for my team is once again because I'm strong enough to get their strongest member low. Like their only person who's strong is Xin Zhao. We saw he was 8-0 early game. He has like 15k gold. No one else has more than like 11 on the enemy team. And so even just this, when my team is rotating here, it ends up being quite good for them just because they're able to pick off someone way stronger. So again, even on a side lane, oftentimes you can get value just from being the distraction, getting someone low, and then helping your team get a pick if you're getting the proper, you know, target low or whatever. I'm not saying I'm the only reason my team wins this game. You know, it's good from them to go and pick them off, and my team does well in the later fights. But that's your job as a side laner, and that's what you really have to understand. Is just even drawing the pressure in a situation like that, even if I die, it's not a super big deal if I died and my teammates didn't get the kill, because there was no objective up. So it's a fine death to take. If my teammates do get the kill, they get a bunch of, you know, gold shut down, and now we're not down too much. And so in this situation, each team has a dragon. I know I can't really push out bottom lane by the time that the dragon spawns. And so instead I want to pressure the mid lane. So oftentimes as a Fiora, you don't actually always have to just split push on a side. If you know that you can't really pressure a side fast enough, but you still want pressure somewhere, just go to the mid lane like I'm doing here and just draw people to you. Like now someone has to walk to me or else I get a mid lane inhib. So if they go and fight, again, notice how I'm not actually going to the fight. I'm just here, and if someone comes, I'll take the 1v1 against them. If no one comes, I can literally just get a mid lane turret. And now they're just distracted in the fight, does nothing for them. And then I can go back now to look for a flank afterwards. Because what this also does is it gives you an opportunity to flank the enemy. Since you're coming from a different angle of the fight, it's really good for a champion like Fiora. Now, honestly, I could have just gone and ended the game, but I like fighting, it seems. And then we just go and end anyways after we get that. And so we're able to end here. I died to the Nexus because I'm a silly goose, but we get the end there. So this is a game where I'm not saying I'm the sole reason we win. I'm not saying I'm the complete carry, but we're able to draw a bunch of pressure, give our team something, you know, some type of win condition, which is that side laning pressure we have, so that the enemy Malphite is stuck between rotating and giving up turrets, or not rotating and just being useless because Malphite on the side lane is not very useful. And then if your teammates do win any fights, even if they fall behind early, again, you draw that pressure, it makes it easier for them to fight, and you kind of are impacting the game without actually being in a lot of those team fights. Hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one.